Item number 10 is the consideration of resolution number 2021-62, a vote of no confidence in Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon. I know this was one of the things that I made. So I wanted to thank everybody who was here today. I also wanted to thank for Gascon's office for coming out to our council meeting, and especially to Sheriff Villanueva, who personally came on his own to also speak how the directives affect the residents in West Covina, whether it's positive or negatively. So I thank them. I thank the resident. Also, I wanted to give our residents a heads up because you all know that we sent a demand letter. You heard from my last one that we had 154 charge arrests this year, under his leadership, this year, and that was only from January to May. So, of course, there's been additional arrests. But after they came to the office, they came here, they actually reached out. They said they'll take a look at the 104 charges. After they took a second look, they replied back that possibly 3 out of those will be reconsidered. But at the end, nothing changed. We were informed that charges will be held and continue to be rejected, all based under Gascon's new directives, specifically on his special directive 20-07. And then the demand letter that we sent in was completely ignored. So my point here, crime is crime, no matter who commits it. It's not a race issue. It's a crime issue. And as we have seen, all races have been affected and have been a victim of crime, and crime affects the quality of life. I feel his policy and directives do more harm to our city, causing more problems to our law-abiding citizen. It affects majority of the people. Criminals had a choice, victims did not, and law and order should be upheld. His policy and directives creates lawlessness, decriminalization, no punishment, no penalty, no discipline, no rules, doesn't hold people accountable. The biggest factor is the no infrastructure in place. So he created this directive and implemented them before his the diversion program is even in place. And I know people say, oh, the diversion program. Measure J will fund those programs. That funding doesn't take into effect until next year, January 2022. But I feel that we shouldn't be used as a trial testing experimental project where criminals get released back into our streets. It doesn't solve the main problem. I am thankful that they like to try to rehab, but yet no facility to take care of those people exists as they get released back into our community. There is no system set up for his alternative services. I've personally asked him during our Mayor's Gang Coalition meeting, because we have seen an increase in gang, we have seen an increase in crime, and as you know, because of the death of Gabriela that occurred in our own city, the local cities around us have created a Mayor's Gang Coalition, which I have met, the surrounding La Puente, Covina, et cetera. And Mr. Gascon was in that meeting, and I personally asked him about these programs, and he told us to go to LA County Board of Supervisors who administers these. I've personally used these county programs at work, and the problem that I found that a lot of these programs wasn't mandatory. The ones who needed it the most, needed the correction or continue to do what they want and doesn't get reprimanded because they don't have to participate. His directives leans towards criminal rights, much greater than victims' rights. It's a cite and release program, revolving door, no end game. And, if they want reform, they need to start earlier with the children before they go into crime. So they should bring out all these alternative services and program, because we see it. The school sees it. You know which children will go towards that. So use that, offer that. Let's go on a prevention mode. This no vote says we don't agree with his directive and policies, and that it hurts our community more than it helps. I have no confidence on something that is not proven and built, and we have been seeing crime increasing with no recourse. Before I move forward, is there any other councils who'd like to speak on this behalf? Councilman Tabatabai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since I understand many people from my June 1st comments, and I am thankful I've been able to engage with many community members, not only on social media, in person, over the phone, through email. I understand there's a lot of pain, from those who came and spoke on the necessity to recall the DA. I've listened, and I really do feel your need for just punishment. But justice that creates more innocent victims is not justice. And the reality is that here in West Covina, there were 96 cases that were sent to the DA, misdemeanor cases. There were more cases that were sent that were felony cases that are being charged. But the cases we're talking about are 96. 82 of those were drug-related. The state of California and the citizens of California, when they voted on Prop 47, have created the law and the system in which we're going to deal with drug offenses. We are creating a system which the LA County Board of Supervisors recently passed $100 million in spending in their Care First, Jail Last program. They have recently closed Men's Central Jail because it was deemed unconstitutional, not only to those who are incarcerated in the jail, but also to the jailers who worked in the prison. As we consider this vote tonight, I think it's important we understand the context in which all of this is occurring. This is not a one-off with the election of George Gascon. In 2011, in the case of Brown versus Plata, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the California state prison system was unconstitutional and violated the Constitution's 8th Amendment on cruel and unusual punishment. At the time, Republican Wayne Scott, who handled Texas prison system, said California had the worst overcrowded system he'd ever seen. Now, this overcrowding was in part because of enhancements that we've added. Each year of enhancement has shown to increase recidivism by 4 to 7%. But in 2014, when the voters of California voted for Prop 57, we have essentially eliminated enhancements. As once a prisoner has served his time, he is up for parole before the enhancement time begins. That is the reality. That is the system we currently live in here in the state of California. Because of the Supreme Court, AB 109 was passed, where Governor Brown started to send prisoners that were kept in our state system, which again was holding prisoners unconstitutionally, and sent them to the county. Thousands of prisoners were sent into our county system. No resources, okay? No builds of other prisons, no hirings. Again, in 2014, because of the situation, we passed. The citizens of California passed Prop 47. They passed Prop 57, okay? Further reducing our prison population. And here's the other thing. Redefining how we view our criminal justice system. Prop 57 took away power from prosecutors who did not show the ability to use the tools of charging youthful offenders as an adult in just manners. And I understand people said this is not a racial issue, but the reality is when the discretion has been given to the DA, the DAs have shown an inability to apply the law justly and equitably. That is the reality. Those are the facts. Those are the stated facts. So more recently, again, in February of 2019, okay, the LA County Board of Supervisors adopted, and now after the passage of Measure J, and a couple of weeks ago when they passed their budget, $100 million to fund alternatives to incarceration, which I'd like to point to the staff report. One of the cases that we sent to the DA, one of the cases involved a juvenile who was sent to a diversion program in lieu of filling criminal charges. That is part of those 96 cases. They went to a diversion program. This is the system in which the DA was elected to. Tonight we are arguing that the DA should take actions for a system that has been ruled unconstitutional. The voters of California have rejected, no longer is funded, and simply does not exist. 1.65 million LA County voters voted to elect the DA. Majority of Latino communities, a plurality of Black communities, precincts here in District 1, which I represent, the western side of West Covina, the southern side of West Covina, over 19,000 West Covina residents made an informed decision. And again, the reality is if this is about public safety, then you support policies that lower recidivism. And again, justice that creates more innocent victims is not justice. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anybody else would like to say something?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Diaz?
George Gascon has failed us. He has failed West Covina, and he's failed to live up to his oath of office. His actions unprecedented, and the people of West Covina are in danger because of him. He has abused his discretion as a prosecutor and shows cruel disregard for innocent victims. But violent criminals, they love him, while the families of victims suffer. Prosecutors are there to prosecute criminals to the fullest extent of the law, not give them a pass. Don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. So when prosecutors refuse to do their job, people lose confidence in them. This is the case with George Gascon. The people of West Covina deserve better. My heart breaks tonight for Mr. John Carson over the senseless murder of his beautiful daughter, Michelle, and Mr. Bob Ryan over the tragic loss of his son, his only son, Bobby, who was brutally murdered by local gang criminals. Just for a moment, put yourself in their shoes and be honest. Wouldn't you want justice? We should listen to John and Bob. Violent criminals are embraced by these activist DAs and judges who are putting us in danger every day. I want to encourage the people of West Covina to be proactive, protect your home and family by any means necessary. Do not allow criminals to turn you into the latest victim. I want the people of West Covina to know that public safety is my primary concern. This councilwoman sides with victims, not criminals. Every time. I personally lost all confidence in the lawless district attorney. Tonight, I'd like us to follow lead of the city councils from Covina, Azusa, Laverne, Walnut, Diamond Bar, and others who have voted no confidence in the DA. I am encouraging my fellow West Covina council members to join me tonight in a unanimous vote of no confidence in District Attorney George Gascon. He has failed to uphold his constitutional oath. Madam Mayor, I move to vote a no confidence in the Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon.
Thank you. Before you move, Councilman Wu wanted to say something.
Okay, thank you for the speech. Okay, I'm not here trying to debate with Mr. Tabai. I'm here to say the pure fact. Okay, you can see currently from Tribune, from the LA Times, you see the violence crime went up big time. Okay, we have a violence crime went up 150%. Gun violence went up to more than 10%. You can see right now we are in the major problem currently we are facing. We're facing a lot of criminal. Not too long ago, we have a convenience store, okay, and somebody just went inside and robbed the beer case. And the clerk went out, he got blown away. He died. He's a father 32, father of 2. Okay, a senseless killing, all the places. West Covina have how many drive-by shooting? Okay, well, north side and south side, and last time, and we have how many people we have let Gabriel, okay, and die, and the mom over here crying. Okay, what is their right? Where is the victim's right that we are fighting? The point is very simple. The law-abiding citizen, and basically they want law and order. We here is protect the law and order. We want the police, we hire, we spend top dollar for police and fire, is protect our city, protect our children. And that's why we're here. But if we have a district attorney do not practice his duty, then we're in trouble. Because no matter how we do it, how the police arrest, they don't prosecute, and then the criminal basically laugh at us. How many burglary we have in West Covina? Look into the number. Very high. I know a couple of our residents move out West Covina because they have been robbed. So we need to make sure, okay, we need to send a strong message to district attorney. We disagree with his policy. Okay, we disagree with his action, and let it protect so-called innocent using the racial profile, talking about the black and Latino, okay, and they have the highest sentence and then this and that. And I will say this, it's not a race issue, it's a class issue. It's a person with the money can hire attorney. Remember O.J. Simpson? Okay, it's not about the race, it's about the money you can have attorney. So the point is this, how can we get a class, more equality, not about the race? Again, let's find a way to protect our residents, and that's why we're here. Not the ideology, okay, not the partisan, not about what you think and argue over here with all these things, but how about our victim? So I will second. Okay, thank you.
Well, Madam Mayor, since Council Member Wu mentioned me by name, I would like to respond, if that's okay, or
Go ahead.
Is that okay with?
And then I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to respond. First off, one of the issues, I think, and to have a really deep discussion, we must first start with those violent crimes that you're speaking of are all not only being charged, but they're being prosecuted. They are not part of the directives. Violent crime felonies are not part of this issue. Also, the statistics,
Let him speak. Let him speak. Go ahead. Continue.
also the statistic on burglaries, as was presented by Sheriff Villanueva and our WCPD, has shown that burglaries and those types of crimes are down in the city of West Covina. And so, again, I understand the disagreements, but the disagreement is not a disagreement on ideology. The disagreement is on facts. The facts are...
Let him continue, please.
The reality is, and in March, we had a presentation on our homeless population in which we did discuss that criminalizing drug addiction and mental health issues was not what we as a city wanted to do. And again, 82 of the 96 cases, and then 3 also thrown out. So we're talking about 82 of 93 cases are drug-related, drug addiction cases. So we're talking about 11 cases. Of those 11 cases, what I would want to know is how many of those have to deal with homeless? How many of those 11 cases have to deal with mental illness? That we as a council in March said that our philosophy was not to criminalize drug addiction, not to criminalize mental health. Again, the misdemeanor directive is about crimes involving those issues which we as a council have already said do not belong in the criminal justice system. And again, just to point to the facts, not prosecuting these crimes lowers recidivism. It makes us safer. That is a public safety policy. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Mayor Castellanos. Thank you for the time.
Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, we're living in a scary time. We need law and order. Criminals are not afraid. There's no repercussions. I want to get a CCW. I've seen firsthand how they're not afraid. It's a free-for-all out there. I mean, as Councilman Tabatabai just mentioned, homelessness. True, a lot of them need mental help. But the ones that choose that lifestyle, they're fearless. They'll attack. And I don't want to prolong this, but there is legitimate fear out there of bad guys hurting us with no repercussions, and they know it. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. I know a lot of the residents has been complaining to us about the high graffiti, and I just wanted to let you know, before, they used to just write their gang name, and that was it because of the gang enhancement. But now they're adding their monikers, their gang members' nickname, and as he said, they don't care. So the graffiti's going up. Those things are out there, and all the things that we've been seeing. And I can say firsthand experience because of my line of duty, and I work in the public. I've seen it. It personally affects the community. I work in a low income. It affects the low income in there as well. And so, we've had a shooting. And we had to do a lockdown. I just dealt with that last week. So I personally seen it. I've heard the cries of our residents. A lot of the emails we get, a lot of the complaints we hear, it's all about the crime. And unfortunately, I know like all these Prop 47, all this stuff, how they increase things where it's a misdemeanor now, that people could just go in and rob and take up to like $900 without getting any penalty for that. It's affecting our small businesses. It's affecting low-income people who doesn't have anything, and to be, having that theft occur. So I personally have seen it firsthand. Therefore, and as for them, I understand we do have a lot of drug issue, mental. Those resources and things should bring back those mental institutions. It should bring back those drug rehabs, but it should be made mandatory. because we shouldn't have to see and suffer the consequences of all that. We are here for the quality of life. We are here for the mass of the public, for the residents, and I am here to take care of the majority of our residents here. Therefore, I know Councilwoman Diaz has moved the motion. Do I have a second? Second, roll call, please.
Mayor, I had a motion by Councilwoman Diaz and a second by Councilman Wu originally. Councilmember Tabatabai?
No.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
Aye, motion passes 4-1. Now, I do have a continuation. I'm not just going to end this as the no vote. I'd like to see, I know the no vote of no confidence is one thing. Whether Gascon gets recalled or not, his policy still occurs until change happens. That being said, we are still under the direction and part of LA County, and our money goes to those measures. As mentioned, until Measure J takes into effect next year, LA County is supplementing the relief monies to fund these programs, and they selected 10 agencies/jails, and one of those cities is City of Pomona, which all these 10 programs haven't officially all launched together. Anyhow, currently this program is not offered in our city since we are not selected as part of the pilot program. So the cases that were rejected and future cases has no means of provided services or diversion program being offered to those arrested. On a side note, we didn't get an answer when we asked Gascon's DA's chief regarding what is happening with the rejected cases currently if the programs are not in place. So no answer back. So I'd like to move to have our city solicit recommendations as a solution to begin the process of getting these services offered in West Covina, and especially to be on top of receiving those Measure J funds and to have our city funded for those programs. That way, at least we know what services and diversion is actually being provided to those individuals that are being arrested in our city. So I'd like to also move that to get that ball rolling.
I'll second.
Roll call? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, move, second. Okay, roll call, please.
I have a motion by Mayor Lopez Viado, and I have a second by Councilmember Tabatabai. Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everybody.